Welcome to the Ohio Adult Allies podcast, where we are developing, inspiring, and empowering youth leaders. Today's topic is, what is a regional learning collaborative? Today we are talking with Beth Thomas.
Hi, I'm Beth Thomas, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Regional Learning Community Coordinator for the Northwest Ohio region. And I have a little over 10 years of experience working with Youth Led. I got to start our community-based high school Youth Led program about 10 years ago, and have most recently been working with our staff to develop a school-based Youth Led prevention program for our middle school students.
Kevin Rigby.
Hey everyone, my name is Kevin Rigby. I work for Youth to Youth. I have been facilitating our Youth Advisory Board for a handful of years now. I've been working for Youth to Youth straight out of high school pretty much since 2007. So many years, many different roles, but definitely have the privilege to work with a lot of our different youth-led groups, our community-wide group, our school-based groups, and more. So that's me.
And your host, Amy Collins.
This is Amy Collins. I work for the Voinovich School at Ohio University. I've been a part of the Ohio Adult Allies Technical Assistance and Training Team for the last 5 years.
What is a regional learning collaborative?
So as of June 2020, there are 5 regional learning collaboratives across the state of Ohio, with one planned to be started this fall for the Appalachian region. So let's first talk about just what is a regional learning collaborative and what is the purpose of a regional learning collaborative.
That's a great question, Amy. I think it's one of those situations that creates a little bit of confusion in people's minds, so I think it's a great place to start. For me, a regional learning community is an opportunity for adult allies, and we call any adult who works with young people an adult ally. So young adults who work with young people, adults who want to work with young people, or maybe adults that just want to learn a little bit more about what youth-led programs are. It's an opportunity for them to learn and share ideas on how to implement youth-led prevention programs in their communities.
Yeah, that's right on point. I see a regional learning collaborative as just something that is different from a training or a workshop where we as adults who work with young people are coming together to share resources. There can be bits of training and stuff like that where we can all learn, but more so we're learning from each other and taking the different skills that everybody within the group have to, maybe take back to our youth programs or our organizations to implement those in hopes that, something that we learn from somebody else is going to help us do what we do better.
Exactly, Kevin. And I think another piece that's really important to talk about is, as a region, we have an opportunity to band our kids together. So as a region, we can select a focus that we want to dig a little deeper on and work a little more regionally on. So for example, in the Northwest Ohio region, our young people selected vaping as their focus for this year. And then as adult allies, we work to develop strategies that our young people could choose to engage on, that as a region, then we were making a difference as far as a collective impact. We all recognize that nothing stops at our borders. We might serve a particular community, but the more work we can do that we're sending consistent messages across a region versus just our specific geographic area, the more impactful that work will be.
Yep. And I think it gives us an opportunity to, as adults, have a space in these different regions. We're all doing similar work, or we're all, doing work that young people benefit from. So to have some sort of either connection within that work that we're all going in one direction, or just to know what everybody is working on, what everybody is doing to help people out, having a regional learning collaborative, having something structured where you're connected with people within your region is such a benefit. There's things that we work on in our region and, say we're at capacity with the work that we can take on. If we know that somebody else has the opportunity or may have the capacity to work on a new grant that we saw, being able to just send things like that their way, or just having that connection, I think is a big key and a big part about the regional learning collaboratives, working collaboratively to learn together, to grow together, and hopefully be going in one direction, but also to just share resources.
And I think you totally nailed it, Kevin, when you mentioned the idea of relationships. We're building relationships with each other, building that professional networking that just will come in handy down the road as we work with our young people.
Yeah, thank you both for highlighting those connections and collaboration within the region. And, these also provide an opportunity, to sustain the work as an investment after training academies so participants can carry on that work and collaborate and connect, just as you both have been describing. So who should attend regional learning collaborative meetings, and what are the expectations for our participants?
It varies from region to region, but really it's anybody who has a connection to young people, anybody that wants to push, the idea of youth-led in our state forward. So if that's teachers, if that's coalition members, just general youth serving organizations, really anybody who has that connection and wants to take that next step, pushing youth-led forward, people that work with young people. And the expectations, in the beginning are really low. In our regional learning collaborative, we're not expecting a lot from you. We want you to come. We want you to engage. We want you to be a part of the conversation, learn and grow with us. And then as you're more involved, we start to expect you to start maybe taking some of these ideas, taking some of what we're working on as a region back to your school, back to your group or your community to start pushing those projects or ideas forward within what you do.
Kevin, I think you're right. I think in our region, as well as all the regions, we welcome anyone who has that interest in working with young people, currently working with young people, or maybe just wants to learn a little bit more about what youth-led prevention, our youth-led programs really are. In our region, we have ranged from librarians to guidance counselors to the faith-based community, some of our other youth-serving professionals that want to gain some of their skill set. And as far as expectations, along with Kevin, I think the biggest ask we have is a willingness to engage. We talked about what a regional learning community was, but we didn't talk about what it wasn't. And it is not a passive, sit in the corner, take some notes, all one-way communication coming from the expert. We, by design, there is a facilitator that helps get the conversation started, that might model some activities that you could engage your young people on to move whatever concept forward that you're trying to share with them. But that's the only ask that we have, is that you come in with an open mind and a willingness to participate, as well as a willingness to share not only the things that have gone well, but honestly, I think sometimes we learn more, speaking for myself, where things failed, where we struggled, whatever challenges we might have. Sometimes when we're sharing those and that someone's able to help talk us through what worked for them or another thing that we might be able to try, I think sometimes that's when we get the biggest gain in our regional learning communities.
Thinking about the activities that are offered through the Regional Learning Collaborative, how is this activity or the work you do different from other trainings that adults may participate in?
So I think, as I mentioned earlier, we're modeling a lot of activities that you might be able to engage your young people on. So we might start out with just ways to do some team building. We might start out with asking people to kind of engage with us on how things are going. Again, modeling different ways. You might be doing some sort of continuum or some sort of fun survey, or whatever the concept of the day is. We are going to develop an interactive activity to start the adults thinking about how they might introduce that activity with their young people. Like, say, for example, we do a lot of work around the strategic prevention framework. So we might talk about how you do assessment. How do you engage young people on looking at data and making those decisions about what should be their priority focus if they're determining how to move their work forward?
Yeah, it's really about using what we've learned, and I think that's something we haven't talked about is that as regional learning collaborative leaders in our regions, we're also a part of another regional learning collaborative together as leaders. So not only are we facilitating, but we're a part of one with the entire state. So that gives us the opportunity to learn from each other and then bring some of the activities and things that maybe other people are doing in their regions to our region and share those activities, work on those activities together. And typically, these are activities that we know work. We're going to share activities. We're going to do things within our regional learning collaborative that have been proven to work because we've tried them, we've done them. And it's not just sharing the activity, but then it's how can this activity benefit you? how can this activity work for you individually? And we have time to break that down because, what we know is that one, I think all activities, everything needs to be adapted for who you are and what you do as an organization, as a youth serving program. The activity that we do at Youth is not necessarily going to work the same way that it does for us, for Beth. So how is she going to take that and adapt it to work for her school or her environment or her group size or what have you? That's a big part, that we have time to ask questions and learn together and say, yeah, this is a great activity. I think this will work, but here's the barriers that I might see with it. And then we can help break that down to be something that we know is going to be beneficial for you because, we've tried it and we can work through it together. So I think the activities as a whole, the activities we do are activities that we want to be beneficial for everybody involved, not just for one sort of group.
And I think by modeling those activities, it gives just the opportunity that Kevin speaks of, the chance to do a little pushback and say, I'm not sure how this would work in my group. How would I implement this? And I think that's really a key piece. And I also want to mention that there's never an expectation that people that come to our regional learning communities are an expert. They are coming with the willingness to engage and learn. And we have people who have had no experience, and we have people that have decades of experience. And it is the back and forth of that interaction that I think is where adult allies will walk away with a lot of valuable confidence. It builds their confidence, a lot of valuable information, as well as Kevin mentioned, all those innovative and creative ways and thoughts about how to adapt whatever the activity is to their particular young people.
That's one of the biggest maybe benefits or differences, I guess, from trainings that I've attended in regional learning collaboratives is that, we're not even coming to the table as experts per se. I don't ever want to stand in front of a group. Maybe I do have more knowledge in this one area and I get to share something, but I'm a learner too. And I think that comes across within the region, within these collaboratives, is that I'm here to learn. I'm going to share this information, and then, let's learn together. Let's grow together. Let's be learners. Let's figure these things out together and how they can work for all of us, because, just because something works well for us doesn't mean it's going to work well for everybody. And the regional learning collaboratives gives you a chance to just dive deeper than you would, just like earlier, than just having some sort of one-way communication at a conference. And now you got to go figure it out by yourself. You don't have to figure it out by yourself. You got a team of people that you get to figure it out with in the moment over the course of 2-4 hours or whatever. But then now I can call these people throughout the month or throughout the weeks and bounce ideas and say, remember we talked about that thing, refresh me on that, or I'm having this issue, help me out here. So I think that's a huge plus.
Kevin, it makes me think of how we interact with our young people. Whenever I go to facilitate at a youth-led program, I always walk away with more information than I shared with them. And I think it's the same thing with the regional learning communities. We might be the coordinators, the facilitators, but I always walk away with more information than I necessarily gain, because it is that back and forth that's critical. And another piece that you touched briefly on is the idea that there's technical assistance. So while many of us host 3 or 4 in-person, day-long type events throughout the year, we also are available as regional learning community members to offer technical assistance, to reach out. So I might get a call from a participant saying, hey, we're struggling with this. And I might say, I have some thoughts on that, but I'd really like to connect you to this person who participated in our regional learning community as well, because I think they really have done a lot of work around that area too. And between the two of you, you'll be able to solve whatever challenge you might be facing. And I think that's a key part of the regional learning communities as well.
So thanks to you both for talking about the benefit for adults participating in regional learning collaboratives. Let's now talk about how young people benefit by having adult allies participate in the regional learning collaboratives.
So I think when it comes to benefits to young people, if adults are more engaged, more confident in their ability, have strengthened their skills around the different components of youth-led programming, by default, the young people are going to benefit from that increased confidence and expertise. That to me is the biggest benefit to young people. And then when you look at the regional aspect, as we're working together in a regional area and we've chosen a focus that we're all working on a regional basis, the young people then have the opportunity to potentially network with another group of young people in their region to talk about whatever it is, strategies that they've selected to move that effort forward. And that's obviously a benefit to them as well in terms of networking for the young people themselves.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part, and a really cool part is that, in my years here in prevention, when I first started out, you worked with your own kids, you worked in your silo, you worked with your group, and you didn't want any other youth serving organization infiltrating your group and messing with the young people you work with, right? And you weren't, and it was like a thing. Like I wasn't gonna go try to steal yours either. Like you have yours, I have mine, but this gives us an opportunity to bring them all together. And we actually had, just through these connections, through these collaboratives, decided to, lead a co-lead or co-put on a small weekend leadership retreat just with another group that we worked with. And, we were taking some of these elements and things that we decided to work on as a region and kind of push them further. But more so, it was just about connection with another group. I mean, because we're talking about regions, I think it's cool too that we're often talking about different communities. We're talking about bringing my students from one community here in Central Ohio to a whole nother, county, and them connecting together and learning about each other. So I think there's always opportunities for deeper connection within the students as your relationship with another adult that works in your region grows. Your students are going to get connected, and that's really cool. And like you said, I just second that. The more we know, the more we learn, the better our organizations are going to be for it. We're going to be doing new activities. We're going to be providing new ways to think about things because maybe somebody opened our eyes up to a new way to look at something. Maybe we weren't excited. Maybe we didn't care. Maybe we absolutely despised the idea of doing some sort of strategic plan. But now, because I've been a part of this, I've seen it, I understand it a little bit more. I see that other people in the region are doing it, and I'm open to doing it with my young people. There's just such opportunity for growth, just being connected to other people. That's what these provide is connection to more than just yourself. And through connection, everything is possible. Let's just go ahead and put that on a quote board because I didn't hear that anywhere. I just said that, and I'm putting it on my wall.
Kevin really nailed it when he said that those relationships, those connections provides our young people with access to things and just more and more opportunities and resources, things that may not be available in our communities or we weren't aware of as an adult ally. The more we can connect anybody to other people, particularly those that are different in whatever way from themselves, the more opportunity we've provided them for personal growth as well as collective impact across the community on whatever issue it is that your young people want to address.
So how can people learn more about the regional learning collaboratives and connect with their local regional learning collaborative?
Yeah, so the biggest thing you can do is go to
ohio.allies.com.
I had it. Okay. The biggest thing you can do is check the Ohio Adult Allies website. It's www.ohioadultallies.com. There's a bunch of information on the website just about what adult allies across Ohio have done or are doing, but also a section specifically on the regional learning collaboratives, who's leading them, where they meet, what region they're in. You can check all of that stuff out. Don't pay too much attention to the picture that I have on there. I was growing my hair out at the time. I decided to depart from that. So, but yeah, a website and just connection, like take the time. If you see your region on there, our phone numbers are on there. Connect with that person. Ask them more. Like there's not extensive information. So go find the information. Go talk to the people in your region that are running those collaboratives and find out more about what they're doing specifically so you can be a part of it.
You're exactly right, Kevin, that the Ohio Adult Allies website has tons and tons of great resources, not only about the regional learning communities, contact information if you just need technical assistance or hoping to find out when the next upcoming event might be in your area, but there's lots of information about youth-led programs in general, a lot of great white papers, just to give you a lot of foundational knowledge about youth-led prevention, youth-led programs. And so I think that's a great place for people to start.
People can connect to any of the regional learning collaboratives, based on where they live or where they work, or maybe even a learning collaborative is, approaching an issue that they have interest in working on with their group as well. So it's open.
Thank you for listening to the Ohio Adult Allies podcast. You can find more of our episodes on iTunes, Spotify, or Google Play by searching Ohio Adult Allies. Episodes are available at www.ohioadultallies.com.